Are we ready to make some Joker fans mad? Because I feel like we're going to make some Joker fans mad. If you're tuning in and it is not live on Monday, please join us Monday live, 7 o'clock Eastern time here on the show. You can be part of the discussion because we're going to have a whole bunch of discussion going on about this topic, because I don't like Joker. And I more don't like Joker because everyone says he is the perfect villain for Batman. And I feel like that is such the wrong answer, especially with someone who has such a good rogues gallery. If you said Cheetah was Wonder Woman's best villain, I'd give you that simply because her villain roster ain't that deep. Or it is, but just not that well known. Every freaking person knows at least 5 Batman villains, and most of them are going to be better than Joker. So I personally feel like Joker is just such a boring villain. I don't feel like it's Joker's fault. I feel like a lot of it has to do with his overexposure. He is in every movie. He's in every game. He's in almost every comic. And I feel like because we've had so many of him, there's been so many repetitions of the Joker, and it's not a character that has a lot of breadth to it. It's very one note. He is a one-dimensional chaos, and that's it. And I feel like that fits, but I don't feel like that makes him the best. And I feel like the argument of people saying Batman's order versus Joker's chaos is such a boring argument, and you don't know enough about the other villains to understand and realize that the other ones are better. You know, there's characters that have such a more deep arc with Bruce and Batman and have such claws into that both sides, Bruce and Batman, that I feel like just being like, well, he's order, he's chaos, is just bleh. And I feel like he overshadows other villains. As I said, we're going to go through 10 today that I feel like have a way better reason to be one of Batman's better villains than the Joker. And I don't know the writing process behind Joker and behind the Batman series. I would love to ask people like Scott Snyder and all the great writers of Batman, like, do you guys just run? Is there a moment where you guys run out of ideas for other villains? You're just like, Joker, we'll just do chaos. And it's just like, we've done that how many times now? Like, Batman fighting Joker and having Joker go into Arkham, and then the next issue, him breaking out, and then it rinse and repeat. People get sad. People get complaining about the Ninja Turtles fighting Shredder. You get problems, people saying Superman saving Lois, but you're all fine with Joker and Batman fighting in this eternal loop over and over and over again. I just don't get it. So I went through and I had a pretty good list, but we went to our good friends ChatGPT to make sure that I've got the same thought process as the consensus. And I came up with a list of 10 villains that I think are better than Joker. And I'm going to give you guys a couple points. Some are going to have more points than others, but I'm going to give you a couple reasons why I feel like these villains are better than the Joker. We're going to kick things off with one that sadly did not get a great run in a movie. And I feel like it is one of the most wasted potentials on a character, especially a Batman villain, Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze has such a good backstory and such a great character motivation that is so much better than Batman's, order versus the chaos of Joker. Freeze has such a tragic motivation. Like, this is a guy whose entire life is to save the woman he loves. There's not a lot of villains and especially villains in comics that their entire world is to save the love of his life. He's also a very sympathetic villain, which is something that, again, Joker doesn't have. We want Joker to beat the living day. We want Batman to beat the living daylights out of Joker. When Bruce and Batman, well, more Batman, when Batman beats the daylights out of Freeze, you kind of feel bad because you know he's only trying to do this to save his wife. This is another thing that the freezing technology of Mr. Freeze is used with other superheroes as well. We've got Captain Cold with the Flash, and this was really shown, the intelligence of Mr. Freeze was shown a lot in the Arkham games, where when you fought Mr. Freeze, I believe it was in Arkham City, where every time you were hidden and you attacked Freeze, he took that away from you. So you had to be more of a creative detective instead of just beating the daylights out of him like you would the Joker. And lastly, I feel like Freeze is a perfect villain because it really messes with Bruce's psyche. Bruce knows what loss feels like. He lost two of the most important people in his life, and depending on the run, may have lost more. So trying to beat someone who has got very much a similar motivation as Batman and Bruce, that's a tough fight. So I feel like Victor Freeze's complicated backstory and how much similarity it is to Bruce and Batman makes him a way better villain than just crazy clown guy. So number 10 is Mr. Freeze. Number 9, and again, these are not in any specific order. I feel like once we get, number 1 is kind of there because he makes the most sense, but the rest of them are kind of, you can put them in any order. Number 9, Deathstroke. I don't think anyone can argue that Deathstroke as a villain for Batman is freaking perfect. Like, when you see Batman and you think of how good of a fighter he is when it comes to hand-to-hand combat, there's not many villains who can compete with him in that, and at times do better than Wilson. He's also got a mercenary code, which is good for Bruce because he knows he'll only go so far, but under the right contract, he can go farther. So it's almost a dual thing with Bruce. Bruce has to kind of think like, how far is Slade paid to go? Is he just going to scare some people? Is he just going to scare me? Or is he in a contract to take my life? That's tough when you don't really know how much motivation this person has to kill me. He's tactical. He challenges Batman on the physical form and kind of a morality standpoint too, because if Bruce goes too far, he can easily become Deathstroke. He has all of the technology, all of the moves, all of the skills to be Deathstroke if he went too far. And I feel like with the professionalism of Deathstroke being that hired assassin, it's kind of personal for Bruce, but it's also professional. And I think that's a nice dynamic of, again, this person isn't doing it sometimes just to kill Batman or to injure Bruce or injure somebody in the Bat family. It's sometimes just because, hey, I need to pay my bills and I got this person's giving me that much money to do it. And I think that's a cool dynamic. So we got number 10 with Mr. Freeze. We got number 9 with Deathstroke. Number 8, I feel like we've got it was a good representation in the movies. I still feel like they could have done more with it though. And that will be the Scarecrow. Jonathan Crane is a very good villain for Batman in the fact that these are both a hero and villain that are using fear to hurt and affect their foes. So having a good fear, if you want to count it for Batman, and a villain fear for the Scarecrow is a nice dynamic because you see it work in different ways. Batman also has enough of a traumatic background that Scarecrow can use that to affect Batman in ways that other villains can't. This is not really a battle of wits or a battle of endurance. This is a psychological battle with Thomas and Bruce, and Batman, I should say. Batman can easily one-punch Scarecrow. I think we've kind of seen that in almost every incarnation. But because it's such a psychological warfare with the Scarecrow gas, with the fear toxin, it's a different fight for Batman than just a hand-to-hand fight. And I feel like there are times where Joker could be that similar thing where it's more of a psychological fight. But I feel like they've done too many fights with the Joker where Joker doesn't stand up to Bruce, but just takes the punishment more. I feel like that is a weird dynamic that they've built with those two characters. I feel like if he just walked in, one punch Joker, it's over. But Joker does more of the psychological. It's kind of like the Dark Knight where he has to go and rescue people before something happens. That's one thing. But I feel like we've had too many instances where he's held his own against Batman. I feel like that's hurt him. Scarecrow is one of the few villains also that exposes a lot of Batman's trauma. And again, some know it. And we're going to talk more about that with especially one character later, two definitely down the line. But I think he's one of the ones that has taken that based off the fear toxin and what he's learned based off what fears have come out of Batman, that he's one of the ones that uses it to the best of his advantage. And he's one that can easily affect a lot of people around him. You know, with somebody like a Deathstroke or a couple others down the line, they're kind of a one-person, 1v1 fighter. So we've got Joker's going to fight Batman. Mr. Freeze is going to fight Batman. He might be able to fight two of them. Scarecrow can fight the whole family, if not take over all of Gotham, to have people kind of like Joker have a complete chaotic breakdown. And that will have so many distractions on Batman that it makes him not be as focused on going after Crane. And yeah, like I said, it creates that citywide pandemic, and I feel like that's something that a lot of villains don't have the capabilities to do, but Scarecrow can easily pull that off. So we're three down now. I want to know what you guys think. Is there anyone on your list that you think would be is a better villain than Joker? Or if you are a big Joker fan, tell me why you feel like Joker is the best villain for Batman. And for you folks in TikTok, if you guys want to join the conversation, hop over to YouTube, Myers Corp Cosplay, hop in the chat and tell me what you think, because I want to know what you guys think, because I don't want to go off this if all of you were like, oh, Joker's the best. I don't think so. I'm still going to finish the show, but you know what I mean. So we've got a couple big ones here. So we've got Deathstroke, we've got Scarecrow, we've got Freeze. Let's go after someone who is pretty much the crime family leader. And I know a lot of people would put Penguin on this list, but I don't think Penguin's the best villain for Batman. I feel like Penguin's the best villain for Bruce. Roman, though, Black Mask, is different. Black Mask is basically the Gotham Kingpin. He hasn't been in a whole ton of properties. Arkham, the PS3 one that no one likes, but is actually one of the best ones. The one Arkham game he's in, he's also in the Birds of Prey movie. Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, sorry. He controls the city's underbelly. He controls the city. He controls a lot of the crime in the city, which makes him sort of a puppet master for a lot of things going on in Gotham, which I feel like is one of the things that Bruce tries to eliminate. But because of people like Black Mask, he always has trouble doing it. This guy does not have a problem torturing to get information, to get what he wants. And I feel that similar to Deathstroke, this is another version of Bruce and Batman and what they could have become if they took a wrong turn. And I feel like Black Mask is a very good comparison. If you've ever read the Flashpoint line, the Flashpoint storyline has Bruce's dad. He becomes Batman, but he's more of a crime boss type. He's got a casino. He doesn't have an energy plan or something like that. It's a spin on what Batman could do. And I feel like Black Mask is a great example of that. He could be what Batman is if he took the wrong turn. And I feel like this is something similar to another group that we're going to talk about, is that Bruce wants to control the city because he feels like he's the best person to control the city. And I feel like this is one of the people in his way of being able to do that, because it's so hard to get rid of someone like Black Mask, who's got so much control. And again, this is a way more complicated villain than the Joker, than just bing, bang, boom, I'm fighting the Joker. Joker's going to kidnap somebody, rinse and repeat. This one that we're going to talk about next is one of the ones that I feel is one of my favorites. One of my favorites from the look. One of my favorites because it's very similar to my favorite Batman villain. I feel like this is an offshoot from it, but I feel like it has the same dynamic. And I feel like this is someone they need to do more on. I know they're doing a second run of this series. Either it's out now or it's going to be out. But I think they need to push this character more, because I feel like he's got such a better backstory and could really influence a lot when it comes to the Batman universe. Hush. Hush, if you don't know, is a childhood friend, Thomas Elliot, of Bruce's. And now he's become an enemy. He is a surgeon. He is able to create his face to look like other people, so he's able to camouflage. In the Arkham City game, you know him because he impersonates Bruce Wayne, and people keep getting reports that Bruce Wayne's going around doing horrible things. The look of this character is incredible. The backstory of this is incredible. Again, this is a childhood friend. Bruce knows Thomas Elliot. They have history. He also knows Bruce. He knows Bruce inside out. That is a form of warfare that is way bigger and way more powerful than just kicky punchy. This is a psychological warfare between him and Bruce. He is trying to manipulate Batman into understanding why he is the way he is. He also, in other ways, in other written stories, has manipulated other villains, which shows that he has the mental capacity to be a mastermind villain. And you'll see with some other villains that we're going to talk about in a few minutes. That is something that I think a lot of people don't really use as much anymore. I feel like that's a trope of the old style villain of you'd have, a Riddler and a Riddler's goons, or a Joker and a Joker henchman and stuff like that. When you have someone who's a villain who is manipulating other villains, that shows that this person has a lot of influence and can affect even the best heroes. And this is someone who blames Bruce for his parents' death. For those who don't know, Bruce could have saved, or Batman could have saved Hush's parents. He didn't. So there's a twist in motivation about that, which again is way more psychological. I'm personally, and you can kind of tell by the way I'm talking about this, I want something more to my villains. I want something that's way more deep and cuts that hero to the bone more than just, you held up a bank, which I feel like is so 1970s, 1980s comic book writing. We're in a world now where we need a little more layers. We need an onion villain. And I feel like this is someone who is, again, way more psychological to Bruce and can get into Batman's head more than just, I kidnapped a Robin, bang. Like, yeah, you did it once. And I feel like that's, after you do it once, it doesn't really mean anything to me personally. And now we're going to talk not just about one villain, but we're going to talk about a group of villains that was introduced in the New 52 line. I don't think it was introduced before that. I believe their first incarnation was the New 52 line in the Scott Snyder run, which I totally admit, I slept on this. I have issue 1 and I have issue 2, and then I slept on it and was like, I don't care about this series anymore. Man, did I make a mistake, because reading it later, I should have read this when it came out. And that is the Court of Owls. This is a dope group. And I know they wrote because owls, bats, I get that part. But this is a series of this is a villain group that has been around in the Gotham universe forever. For those who don't know, this is a secret society that has lived in Gotham for decades and decades and decades, that I believe Thomas Wayne knew about, but didn't tell anybody about. This is sort of the family that is changing Gotham and is influencing Gotham and what happens to it. This is the hidden rulers, I believe, is what they're called in the book. This is something that I think impacts Bruce's morality to a core, because he believes so much in what his mother and father did. His mother and father had their great, trying to make Gotham a better city and trying to do everything with their funds, but realizing now that the Court of Owls have always been in control of Gotham, no matter what the Waynes did. And that hurts Bruce's legacy, and that hurts what your motivation is. If you're Bruce Wayne and you're sitting there going, my father and my mother and my, relatives before that have done so much for this city, but then to meet a group and them say, no, Bruce, we've always been in control. Your father has thought that he had some control, but we never let go of that control and given it to him. That's a lot to take in when your entire motivation is avenging your parents' death. Even just the idea, like having them in the white mask is cool, but having the Talon come after people is such a dope. I personally think that's one of the most underrated characters in modern Batman, and they have done a whole bunch of different villains in the past couple decades. But I feel like the Talon in the Court is something they should have done more with. I know they did it in the Gotham game. The Gotham game sucked, though. Sorry. Overall, I just think this is something that hurts Batman to the core. And again, I know Joker has done things like, I'm going to take out a Robin, or I'm going to take out an Alfred and stuff like that. This is a core hurt to Batman and Bruce. Like, no matter what, if Batman beats Joker, Joker goes in Arkham, he's good. Even for 2 hours, he's in Arkham, Batman takes a breath. With the Court, even if he beats one of them, even if he beats Talon, he knows when he goes to bed at night, they were always in charge, and everything his father stood for was a lie. That hurts if you're Bruce. So we've gone through 10 to 5. Now we're going to jump into 4, and I'm going to try not to be biased about this because everyone who knows me knows that I have one favorite Batman villain. This is one of the reasons why I hate The Dark Knight, and everyone who knows me knows that I will defend my hate for that movie, because this is one of the characters that was absolutely dropped so hard. And that's Two-Face. Two-Face deserved so much more in that movie and so much more in Batman Forever, but they weren't given to, they didn't get what they needed. This is Bruce's best friend as an adult. This is someone who walked the morality legal line with Bruce. And in the moment where Harvey Dent needed Batman to save him, he failed. It's one of the few times Bruce and Batman couldn't save someone. And that it wasn't just a random person on the street, that it wasn't Commissioner Gordon, which would have hurt, his best friend at the time. And the person who was in the district attorney's office, who was able to help Batman get the legal side to give Bruce and Batman all the things he needed, and he couldn't save him. That I love the way they wrote that character. And I feel like it is such a deep cut to Bruce and a deep cut to Batman. And again, this is one of the only villains, and I will give certain people who argue this point the credit. This is one of the only order versus chaos rivalries that I'm okay with, because it is not just a order versus chaos. This is an order versus randomness. Bruce Batman is so order driven. I'm going to do this. 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 Him, Two-Face, he's flipping a coin. And now, mind you, that coin could be rigged, but he's a flip of a coin. Someone's life is on the line, and he is going to just randomly flip that coin and see what happens. Like, that is the law versus chaos that I love. And he also knows the legal system, which I feel is a different type of fight against Batman and Bruce. Again, these villains need to have more than just kicky punchy, which I feel like Joker is kind of in that realm of kicky punchy. I'm going to steal, I'm going to kidnap a couple people. I'm going to torture them a little bit. And okay, that's one thing. But that psychological, he knows how to get away with the crimes because he knows the law so well, is a fun dynamic that you can write for. And overall, like I said at the beginning, this is Bruce's biggest failure. When he was a kid with Thomas Elliot, it was one thing. When he's an adult and he's Batman and he knows what he's doing and he still tripped up at the end and couldn't save his best friend. I love that. I think it's one of the best storylines. We're now at our top 3. We have gone from Mr. Freeze to Deathstroke to Scarecrow to Black Mask to Hush to Court of Owls to Two-Face. This next one is one, again, it's a very psychological villain. I think it works very well. Hugo Strange. This is one of the few people who knows who Batman is. He knows based off a whole bunch of different psychological warfare he's done. He knows that Bruce and Batman are the same people. Why he doesn't exploit that more, I don't know. That's just kind of the thing in the comics, but this is someone who uses that to his advantage. And I feel like this is someone who is mirroring the obsession of Batman. Batman is such an obsessive person. He wants to know everything about every single villain he fights. He wants to know every move they're going to do. He wants to study tapes of them. Hugo Strange is that exact thing, but about Batman and about one person. And I think that is such a cool dynamic that Bruce and Batman have to care about 50,000 people. Even people like the Justice League who aren't rogues, but you never know. He has to have plans in case somebody goes rogue. Hugo does all of that for one person. That's crazy cool to think that someone has that much knowledge and that much time to focus on one person. And similar to the Court of Owls, similar to Hush, Hugo Strange is a puppeteer. He will manipulate other villains, which again is the psychological thing that really will affect the world if Hugo Strange becomes a bigger boss. He does, and similar to Scarecrow, he doesn't need the physical form. He is a one-punch villain. But his psychological manifestation, the psychological warfare he's putting in on Bruce and Batman will outdo any physical combat that Bruce has. And again, I feel like because he's such a manipulator, he will work 100 times than, again, someone like the Joker who's kicky punchy and, all that stuff. We're down to our final two. This next one, we're going to go quickly through it because he has one thing. And I'm sorry. It's so easy and it doesn't need much explaining. Bane. Bane is a better villain than Joker because of one reason. He broke the bat in Nightfall, and every time Bruce and Batman fight Bane, he's fighting a freight train. And I don't care what psychological manipulation you're trying to do. I don't care what gadgets you got. When the freight train hits you, the freight train hits you. There ain't much Batman and Bruce can do when the entire time it's a reverse one hit could take out Batman. I don't feel like there's much, knowing Batman can take out villains with one punch and having the reverse, that's terrifying. And I feel like there's not many villains that make Batman as scared to fight as Bane, because he can have all the tech he needs, but getting punched in the face is still getting punched in the face, no matter what armor you're wearing. You could probably take out that Superman suit that he wears in Batman Superman. So we've gone through 9. We've gone through Mr. Freeze, Deathstroke, Scarecrow, Black Mask, Hush, Court of Owls, Two-Face, Hugo Strange, Bane. We got one left. And it is a villain that it's Batman's Moriarty. You've got the best detective in the world. You've got someone who is the ultimate manipulator in the Batman universe, someone who knows more about Batman than probably anybody else, and has the most emotional and psychological advantage over Batman than any other villain. And that's Ra's al Ghul. It's hard to not put him as number 1. And I feel like out of, again, all the villains we've talked about tonight, and including Joker, you've got someone like Ra's al Ghul, who is as smart as Batman, if not more. He is the ultimate manipulator in the DC universe. For example, and I'm going to use this one because it's a very important example. In the Neil Adams run, Batman Odyssey, which I'm a big fan of, Ra's finds out where the Batcave is. And you can be the best villain in the world. You could be understanding that Bruce is Batman. But to understand that there is a Batcave underneath Wayne Manor, that's something that is complete. How would you figure that out? But he goes to Bruce and he goes to Batman and he says, I knew this was here. But what he does is exactly what a villain should do. He lies. He lies to Batman and says, of course I knew it was here. Why wouldn't I? But how would he have known? And you find out later in the issue, he talked to Man-Bat. And Man-Bat, because he's so messed up with the bat serum, Man-Bat was trying to deliver a bat serum to Batman to make him more bat-like, because he thought that's what he would like. And he found the Batcave, and Ra's al Ghul was able to bring that out of Man-Bat. But because Ra's al Ghul is the ultimate villain, he just lied to Batman. It's like, of course I knew it was here. Which is what an ultimate villain would do. He wouldn't tell you the whole story. He'd just go, yeah, of course I do. Why wouldn't I? You've also got the immortality. Like, no matter what Batman does, and we've proven this in the properties where he has been, he's got the Lazarus Pit. So no matter how many times he dies, how many bones Bruce breaks, dunk him in the Lazarus Pit, and he's back. He's back to being Ra's al Ghul, back to normal. There's also a rivalry with respect between the two. Ra's al Ghul wants Batman to stop. He doesn't want to kill Batman because he knows how good Batman is. And he wants a proper successor when Ra's al Ghul's done. And he knows Bruce would be the perfect person to do it. He just has to give up all of his morality. Which I, again, think is a fun dynamic. It's a great written dynamic between the two because, again, it's not just, I don't like you, fight, fight, fight. It's him going, if you just stop believing in these people, you could have everything you ever wanted. I would give you everything. I'd give you the League and everything and you'd be good. But Bruce won't give it up. And lastly, the most problematic between their rivalry, Damian. Batman's son is Talia's son. Talia is Ra's al Ghul's daughter. So having a family dynamic and having, in certain runs when Damian is Robin, no matter what happens, there is a little bit of Ra's al Ghul with Batman at all times, which is such a cool thing to think about. As a villain, that is such a fun thing to just be like, no matter what you do, Batman, whatever you do, Bruce, every time you look down at the person you are saving, you're going to see me. And knowing that Damian, of all the Robins, is the most likely to go overboard is such fun. Is such fun to think that it's always right